I just want to thank you for, giving me your time for this interview today, Joey. It's a pleasure to catch up with you.
Thank you.
It's been a long time since I've sat across from you and chatted. And you and I share a movie. I was an extra on For Pete's Sake in 1974.
I signed you out because I was that's a great story, that For Pete's Sake story. I was working at O'Neill's Balloon, weighing tables. These guys show up one day on a Sunday afternoon. They got a 16 millimeter camera. What are you guys doing? And they say, well, we're scouting locations for a new movie. Yeah, well, I'm an actor. You got anything in there for me? That's only old people. But seeing as you're an actor, maybe, we need a good background casting director. I didn't know anybody but Vic Ramos. So I said, Vic Ramos is the best background casting guy, blah, blah, blah. A week later, he calls me up. He goes, I can't believe it. I've never gotten a job from an extra. He said, but I owe you one. And he took care of me. He said, doing this movie with Peter Yates called For Pete's Sake, I want you to be my extra wrangler. You'll sign him in, sign him out. And if there's a bit part or something that you're right for, we'll try to get you that. So I was on the set. He would come in the morning and then go back to work. And Peter Yates one day comes up to me and says, who's playing the undercover cop? And I said, me. And he said, okay, let's go. And I was in my clothes. I was just, he thought I looked great. That's perfect. Let's go with that. And this is Barbara Streisand. And I said, how do you do? And I was in the movies.
It was fun for extras. So it was a really, really a lot of fun. Great. And I got to meet and get to know a little bit Michael Sarrazin, who just a tremendous talent.
And he also, wasn't he like the still photographer too? He was shooting the background and shooting on the movie. He always had the cameras all around him when he on the days that he wasn't working or even when he was working.
Yeah, everybody wore different hats in those days too. It was a little bit more fun, I think, to do a movie. And speaking
I think it's
of
getting
doing
back
movies,
to that now. Yeah.
And speaking of fun, From the Vine is just such a touching and beautiful film. I just want to thank you for it.
Thank you.
Rarely do we get movies like this, especially when it concerns men, who have had enough or looking for maybe, just to recoup their lives a little bit.
Yeah. Or lost and somehow find a path that saves them, not even knowing that they're lost or that they're about to be saved. Mm-hmm. I think that's true in this story and in the three principal characters, Wendy Curson and Paula, who plays my daughter. Mm-hmm. This is a guy, Marco, who I play, who's at the top of his game. But, in order to get there, he betrays the trust of his mentor, best friend, who gives him the company on his deathbed because he knows that he won't betray him. And then he does. And so with guilt and gnawing at him and visions haunting him, visions of his grandfather, who's been dead for 40 years. And, he's just coming apart at the seams. He quits his job and somehow homage to Fellini, he floats off in a cloud of fog, somehow landing in Italy, and is on this journey. I personally, this happened to me, except that I knew that there was something broken, and I knew that I had reached the idea of what I thought was going to make me happy, and I knew I was unhappy. Marco doesn't even have the benefit of knowing he's unhappy. He's got, he's told by his wife, and then going back to his past, somehow perhaps he can find some order. And this movie is so charming and whimsical, and we made it we were able to make this movie because technology has been able to catch up to it. These kinds of movies don't get made with major movie stars and huge budgets because the volatility of the return on your investment. And we could not even have shot in Acerenza 3 years ago because technology wasn't even close to the ability to be able to get to that village, into that village with the kind of equipment that you normally would need to tell a story like this or make a movie like this.
But tell me, I mean, you've been to Italy many times. I mean, you I know this, but this doing a film in Italy is different than, filming any place else on the planet.
Yeah, I've worked in Italy before. I've shot in Rome, Cinecittà. This place was special, with 6,000 feet up in the air. So when the clouds come in, you're in the clouds. The fog was dense and moist, and you were either carefully walking downhill or carefully walking uphill on 2,000-year-old cobblestone streets. The buildings were so narrow that you could literally touch the buildings. Cars couldn't get up there. Walk to work every day. Also, at the time, this is a village that is visited in the summer. It's a vacation tourist attraction. So by the time we started in pre-production, there was the one restaurant that stayed open for us, and then there was a coffee shop up in the village, and then maybe 400 feet below on flatter ground across the street from the city hall, the town hall, that was also our production offices and dressing rooms and makeup and hair. So it was fascinating that you kind of went in like Patton in the Third Army and took over this tiny little village that hasn't changed in 2,000 years. And then Sean had the ability to capture these moments and put it in the movie. And so all of the people that you see in the movie, other than the principal actors, they're all villagers. They've never acted before a day in their life. And I kidded Sean and said, like, if I'd come from Acerenza, I would have never had to take an acting lesson. I'd have saved a fortune.
People there are so natural. Our time is nearly up. And I want to thank you, not only just for your time here, but for this movie and your performances in Risky Business, and of course, The Matrix and Midnight Run, and all those movies that I hold dear to myself, not only as a film critic, but as just a movie lover. You are in a lot of my favorite films, Joe.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that I got to be in some of these things, and as a colleague, extra colleague, I'm glad to be able to throw you a couple of bucks. I hope I brought you back for a couple of days and just didn't sign you out for one day.
Well, if you ever do the casting thing again, you can rehire me. We'll do that. Joey Pants, okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tony. See you later.
Ciao. This celebrity interview is sponsored by...
I'm Annette Civarella with Pia Anderson Moss Hoyt, Utah's leading entertainment law firm, serving clients nationwide. We provide solid, attentive representation focusing on minimizing risk, reducing cost, and protecting the reputation and privacy of our clients. Our goal is to provide you with the legal representation you need to make the right decisions and to protect you and your creative works. Call or email me for a free consultation.